All right, so when you show up to church to play, I just want to run through a few basics as to the setup process with Ableton so that if you arrive and things aren't working, you know how to troubleshoot it. So we're going to hop into the computer here, and we're going to go up to Live at the top, and then Preferences. Preferences, you're going to want to check under Audio Device here. It will usually automatically pick up what driver type you need, but you might want to take a look at the audio output device. By default, it will say either no device or built-in output. Built-in output will be the computer, so that when you play sounds through your MIDI controller, when you're pressing the buttons, it might play the noise, but it's going to play it out of your computer. You don't want to play it out of your computer. You want to play it out of the Scarlett 2i4, which is going to run to the soundboard and allow you to play it through the sound system. So make sure that's checked. And then if you're getting a lot of latency, so you hit the keys and it's very, how do you say, glitchy, you might want to lower the sample rate. So sometimes you can lower the sample rate to maybe 512 or 256. Right now we're at 1024 sample rate. The other thing you're going to want to check is the MIDI under the link and MIDI. So for our purposes, we don't have any control surface or input or output set up right now. But as you can see here, these are the MIDI controllers that we have plugged in. The Scarlett 2i4 and the Nano Control. Those are the two MIDI devices. Obviously, the Akai is plugged into the Focusrite, so that is basically routed through the Focusrite. So you just want to make sure that tracks are on, and that for the Scarlett, you do not have remote on. So you just want to have track on, but remote off. All right, so let's take a look at loading this setup, this scene. So this scene, you're going to find this under File, and then Open a Live Set or Open Recent. And here you can see all of the sets that I've set up for myself. When I play drums, I will oftentimes use Ableton to trigger sounds through a different MIDI controller. So I have a different Ableton drum setups here in this file explorer. So I could add the West Point Church Updated for Andrew set. And let's save this. And then it's going to load this different scene. And we'll give it a second here. And here it's loading some different other software programs that I have. It's just taking a minute here. So this is a much more complicated set here, and that's why I simplified it to just those 4 sounds. What I found is typically you can do a lot with 4 sounds. You don't need tons and tons of sounds. You just need sounds that can be manipulated and be made to sound really good. So when you show up to play, you're going to plug your computer in, you're going to plug in to the Focusrite, and that will allow you to play MIDI. And then you're going to click on the scene that you want to play. In this case, we want to play that scene Updated for Everyone. And you're going to load that scene, make sure it's playing. If this up here on the top right, the MIDI says off, that means that the software is not set to play through the Focusrite. So you'll need to go to File, or rather Live, Preferences, and then Audio, and make sure that your audio output device is that Scarlett 2i4. So that's the basics of just opening this up. There are many, many different things you can do with Ableton, and I think that's what makes it really, really cool. But one of the things you want to do is just keep it simple, because when you're playing on a Sunday morning, you you really want it to just be as easy as possible. So let's take a look at real quickly this real piano sound and how this actually works. So this is a MIDI track, and if we click on this expander here, we can actually change this sound. There's sounds, drums, instruments, audio effects, and under real piano here, if we scroll to the right here, this Rhodes piano, I actually got this old school Rhodes from the Ableton Live library. So when I double click or drag it in here, it's actually going to apply that sound. So that's playing that old school Rhodes. We could change that to the Stevie Wow. And that's going to play that sound. Now, you'll want to know that you can change sounds. You can change the root sound or the bass sound, but all of the filters that you've applied will stay. So you can change the sound, and it might be a really reverby piano, but then you might change it to a pad, and that reverby, now it'll be a reverby pad, and you might not want that. So in this MIDI column, you'll apply a sound, and then your volume slider is obviously here. I can manually control that with my mouse, or I can also assign it to my controller, which is ideal. This red button here, that means the track is on or it's off. So when it's red, it means it's on. When it's gray, it means it's off. You obviously want to send audio to the master because that's your master output. And then you want your MIDI from to be all ins so that you can play from your MIDI controller. In this case, the keyboard we have here. In here, these little boxes will be where you could record a clip. So if I hit this button, I could start recording a clip. And then for the Reason sounds, there's actually a MIDI track, and then there's also a track that routes it from Reason. So that's why between the Rhodes piano and the real piano actually has two different tracks. So we have an audio track and a MIDI track. In this case, we have an audio track, and then the MIDI track is routing it through Reason. So if we click open Reason here, you can see the sounds are actually in Reason, real piano. This is the sound that we're playing over here. And what this does is it actually routes through Reason and outputs it through that 11-12 channel.